Welcome to Metaphysical Soul Speak. I'm your host, Elena Fox Starks. Hey guys, I am okay. In spite of the fact that we are in riots, day 2, the entire nation of Ecuador has been shut down. All of the flights going out of Ecuador and coming to Ecuador, at least I think the ones coming to Ecuador, but definitely the flights going out have stopped. Taxis are still not running, neither are buses. All the roads to and from all of the cities have been blockaded still. The president of Ecuador has called it a state of emergency, which suspends the people's rights and puts the military in place and in charge. I luckily have not seen any military people here, at least not where I live. It's been very quiet all day. In fact, the traffic is halved. It's halved because there's so many taxis on the road usually. I don't know what to say about this other than, the president's making some very, very tough and bold changes to turn the economy around. I agree with his changes, but I also, my heart goes out to all the people that are going to suffer as a result of this. So of course I'm torn. He's got to give something back to the people, and I don't know what he's going to do to make things okay for the people. But for 40 years I found out there have been subsidies of all of, the gas and the electric and gasoline, so not only natural gas, but petroleum as well. And some of the numbers I gave out yesterday, it was from a local article, and I'm looking at the New York Times, and they have other numbers, so I honestly don't know what the truth is. I would maybe tend to believe a local article written by an Ecuadorian over somebody at the New York Times, but it said that the IMF was giving Ecuador $4.2 billion. I heard it was, around $10 billion over the next 10 years. So I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what it is, but I do know that this is making people pretty tense, pretty upset. There was an Irishman who lives in Quito, and he's taking a bunch of footage of the riots. He was out in Quito yesterday, and it was pretty scary. In fact, it was right where my son and I had stayed, is where this guy lives. It's where we stayed in this amazing hostel called Juana de Arco, Joan of Arc hostel. And when you look online, the pictures are terrible of this place, and you go there in person, it's one of the most beautiful hostels I've ever been to in my life. It's Spanish colonial style on the inside, and then you go into the rooms, and the rooms are French colonial style, and they're just gorgeous. But anyway, there was several lines of police blockades surrounding the presidential palace, and they're staying there. They have to, because he's making some really hard decisions. He knows he's not going to run anymore. He's only going to run one time. The president before him spent so much money that put the economy in crisis, and now this is going to be what turns it around, even though everyone's pissed off. And so whenever and wherever you are in your life, I hope that you have the courage to stand up and make the tough changes in your life that you need so that you could get to where you want to go. You know, if you don't have a job and you're about to be kicked out of your apartment, the tough changes you need to make are pounding the pavement with your resume. Going door to door if you have to, asking for a job, you know, or say you are significantly overweight or out of shape. Maybe you're not overweight, but you're just out of shape, and you know that your health is suffering as a result. The tough changes, you know, dietary, exercise, whatever. You know, there's some tough changes that every single one of us have to make. I'm on a diet and I'm trying to lose a few pounds and get into a healthier state. And I've started looking for a job and sending out my resumes. I just need to make enough money and prove that for 1 year I've made enough money to stay in Ecuador, because in 2 years they're going to have to decide whether or not to keep me in the country. But I think I'll be able to stay. I think I definitely want to stay, but I don't know, after the last 2 days, I'm worried about what's going to happen in the next coming week or so. Usually stuff like this calms down after 3 or 4 days, but a lot of the taxi drivers are saying, screw it, we're going to stop this country. We're going to stop this country from functioning and until it's changed. And so there might not be an end in sight for a while, you know. So I'm a little nervous about that. Little bit nervous. I'm looking it up. When will the Ecuador riots end? Another thing I forgot to mention is the government employees. I don't think I mentioned this yesterday. The government employees, so basically everybody that works for the government, like for the past 40 years, have always had 30 days of paid vacation every year. Pretty cushy, you know. Well, they just got that cut in half. They have to take 15 days paid vacation, and that's it. They just lost 15 days vacation every year, and every month they have to pay 1 day's salary back to the government. So they're going to work for 1 day for free, and all that money goes back to the government. And his policies, everything he just implemented this week that he announced on Tuesday, that got implemented immediately, like Thursday, yesterday. Every single thing that he implemented is going to cost or save the government $2.27 billion. And they just had to borrow $4 billion. So it's like over half of what they had to borrow. And that's good. I mean, economically speaking, that's good. You know, speaking from a cold, hard cash place of mind, he made good decisions. But speaking from a bleeding heart liberal state of mind, a lot of people make $400 a month, and he just doubled the price of diesel. He just, increased gas by 40, 50 cents a liter. And I think it's like 2.5 liters or something equals a gallon. So it's like $5 more a gallon or something like that. I could be wrong. I don't know. Metric system is beyond me. I don't know why the United States uses the old system. It's us and a small nation in Africa, and no one else in the world uses the old, like, miles and pounds and gallons, pints, ounces, all that. The only pints that are used in the world besides our country is in Ireland and Scotland. And those are the kind of pints I like to have. Those are the ones I want in my life, those kind of pints. Guinness, baby. But hundreds of people have been arrested. I have no idea when. I guess it's martial law, but I haven't really seen it implemented here. I've lived through martial law state of emergencies in California, and usually if you're not in your house by 10 o'clock at night, if you're outside at 10 o'clock at night, you get in trouble with the military. And it's not a pretty thing. But we had just left OPEC, the oil, and it was a stand for OPEC. Anyway, we weren't fulfilling the quotas. Ecuador wasn't fulfilling the quotas, and they started putting pressure on Ecuador to fulfill the quotas or else. And the Ecuadorian president said, "We're not going to kowtow or bow down to you, so whatever." Boom, we're out, mic drop, and left OPEC. And he's going to use, instead of giving Ecuador's oil away, we're going to keep it for the country to get our economy back on track. And Ecuador produces 550,000 gallons of fuel per day, of oil out of the ground per day. So I just met an engineer that works in the jungle pulling oil out of the ground. It kind of makes me a little upset that they want to open up more drilling, but that part I don't agree with, of course. But I mean, can you imagine 40 years of just paying super, super cheap gas prices that anyone and everyone can afford it? Anyone and everyone can afford travel. I mean, I was taking the bus from here to Quito, and it cost $12 a person. That's a 10-hour bus ride. $12. That's like a little bit more than $1 per hour. And buses take a lot of gas, and they were running even if there was only 5 or 6 people on the bus. So they're going to have to increase the ticket prices for the long haul bus. It's going to affect everything. And they're just trying to boost the economy. They're trying to get everything back where we ought to be. So I applaud him for him making the super unpopular and horrible choice that he had to make. It was a hard decision. But when push comes to shove, I would probably stand with the people, because he shouldn't have done it so cold turkey like that. He could have done it a lot better. He could have mentioned it and said, by next year at this time, the subsidies will be ended. And it could have been gradually increased little by little, but he didn't do it that way. And it's not that he doesn't care. He cares a lot about Ecuador. But hey, I don't know. I'm really scared. It's just, I don't know. I guess there's going to be a lot more protesting, riots, demonstrations. People have set ATMs on fire. I think I mentioned that one yesterday. It's been really crazy. In Ecuador, the military was using these militarized vehicles to push the walls of people back. Students were getting together and protesting the police and throwing things at the police, and they had hoods over their heads so that no one could be recognized later. So, I don't know. I mean, it's really crazy. I have no idea what's going to happen. But indigenous groups, the people that are the poorest, they're really angry. The transport unions, the students, people that are poor, They're really angry. I don't blame them. This is absolutely a crisis. So I don't know. Pray for Ecuador, guys. Just pray for Ecuador. I don't know what else to say. I mean, I think it's going to get better financially. I think things are going to get better, but it's crazy, man. Absolutely crazy. I'm looking to see when the ride's going to end, and no one really knows. I mean, I keep thinking it'll be, like maybe Saturday or Sunday, tomorrow or Sunday. I hope so. I mean, I had places to go. My friend canceled his concert for tonight. My friend helped his brother Gordon to start the Violent Femmes punk rock band, one of my most favorite bands like ever. And anyway, Glenn was going to sing tonight at Santorino's, and we were going to go over there and have a salad and listen to them play. And the salad they have there it's like this enormous salad, like a lot of lettuce, and they put chicken in it, and the Caesar salad, oh my God, it's amazing. And it was still keto friendly, except for the croutons, which that was going to account for my 40 grams of carbohydrates allowed today. I usually don't eat carbs, or very little carbs. I ate popcorn, which is hardly anything. But, it was such a bummer. He had to cancel it, but I'm glad he did, because that means I'll get to see him play when everything calms down. But everything, like the schools have been closed, everything is closed. My friend is still stuck in Machala, still has to pay for a hotel. He was like, I was just going to be overnight, and I'm coming back, and when I come back, we'll go out. We'll go have a date. And maybe we'll go see a movie or dinner. I'm like, oh, yeah, that'd be so fun, And it's just such a bummer, Like, I never have plans, and the 1 week where I have plans with a couple different people, and it's all canceled because of this stuff. But, small sacrifices, I guess, so that the people get heard. It's crazy stuff, though, man. It's a wee bit of a bummer. As they would say on Outlander, which I've been watching nonstop all day, just trying to get my mind off it. Then, of course, I had to go look up all the history of the Jacobites, and did they ever try to take London, and interesting stuff, man. It's like I like the old drama show, or the drama shows about the old history, because it's nothing that I ever learned in school. It just seemed like every year they taught us World War II and the Civil War in the U.S. and really nothing else like it all around the rest of the world. So it's exciting for me to watch and learn about all of the strategies that the people tried and what failed and what didn't. And it's very interesting. And like when the King Louis the 14th was building the Palace of Versailles, I've been watching Versailles, and that he wanted to put 400 apartments, like such an enormous project in the middle of nowhere. And it's like incredible. Like these shows are really incredible. And watching Reign was amazing. I don't know if you guys have seen Reign, but about Mary, Queen of Scots. But she was also the Queen of France, and she married the King of France, and then he died very, very young, and she ended up ruling France and Scotland and had the rightful claim as a Stuart to the English throne. And then that's what the Jacobites, they're trying to get a Stuart king back on the English throne so they can stop the war against the Scottish. And So it's interesting to kind of see how like all these shows kind of fit in with each other, and one show will mention another point in history when you're like, oh wait, I'm watching that show too. So I don't know, it's like super interesting to me. I love all this old stuff, but anyway, got another letter from the government today, another emergency. They were saying, still we're in a state of emergency and avoid crowds and don't go out, don't do any travel within the country, stay in your house. That's what the American government is telling all of the expatriates. I always get notices about what to do, and they're like, just don't leave the house. Don't engage the locals. Don't go where there's any crowds. Don't make anyone mad. The basic stuff you probably shouldn't do anyway, but I don't know. I'm even wondering this isn't going to affect my rent, because now that the subsidies are over, the gasoline part isn't, but the raising the other fuel and electricity, there's like no more subsidies on electricity. Like where something costs $20, we'd only have to pay $2. So our electricity for the month, and leaving lights on all night and leaving the TV on all night and plugging things in and keeping our phones plugged in all night, like just the bad habits that we have in general when it comes to electricity, stuff that we had learned in the US not to do, and we're here and like, what's so cheap, whatever, it's no big deal. And the problem is, we were paying $20 a month before for that in our old apartment, and my landlord has been so generous as to have included it in our rent. Includes everything. Wi-Fi, everything is included in our rent. So I wonder if he's not going to be like, your electricity use has always been high, but now the subsidies aren't there, so I don't know what he's going to do. Or he might just honor his word and keep it as is, but I don't know. Anyway, let's get into it tonight. DisclosureNews.it was really rather boring. The report literally says, practically calm, peak at 13 hertz at 11 UTC. Oh, wait a minute. They're saying hertz now. Oh my God. They no longer say consciousness currents. Why did they change it back? Do you think they're listening to the show? I mean, they should say both. Maybe say both, because consciousness currents was cool, but it's not scientific. And as a Virgo, I'd like to see things not change and the scientific things, but I don't know why they'd said that and then they took it off. Maybe someone new came into the office and like, oh, that's so boring, let's use this word, Maybe they've already been fired. I have no idea. This is so weird that why for 2 days, I guess it was an experiment to see how people would react. But consciousness currents is not nearly as scientific or logical as Hertz frequency. It's not consciousness currents on the Schumann resonance scale. Maybe they heard criticism. Maybe people were writing them saying, hey, don't put it like that. I thought it was kind of cool, kind of hippie-ish, but unscientific. But why not put both things? Maybe they can make a compromise and put both things. I've heard from a lot of you lately, and I wanted to say hello and shout out to Rebecca, Krista, and Prague. Thank you for writing to me, and Riley, by the way. And also a few days ago, I heard from Joy. And I'm just happy to hear from you guys. You know, when I hear from you. But I'm feeling better. I don't sound like I'm maybe better right now, but I'm kind of bummed about what's going on in Ecuador. I love this country. I would really hate to see, you know, it really get torn apart by the taxi drivers and the bus drivers. I mean, I feel like, though, it's only going to take 2 or 3 days, or, you know, whenever their lights come due, they're going to go, oh, I need to pay my rent and whatnot. I mean, if you don't pay your bill on time, it takes about 3 days, and then they just completely shut it off. You know, in the U.S., you get a leeway depending on the city government, but sometimes you get a leeway for like a week or a month. Here, no. If you don't pay your Wi-Fi, it's a done deal. You don't have Wi-Fi until you pay your bill, and it takes 4 hours to get it turned back on, no matter when you pay. Although if you pay like at 5:30, or I think they close at 7, so if you pay at 6:30, you won't get it turned back on until the next day. But it's pretty crazy. I mean, people just don't mess around here. They don't take slackers for nothing here. So it just, for me, I think at least, the people are going to realize really quick, like, oh, wait a minute, shoot myself in the foot by not working. They're going to be damned if you do, damned if you don't. This doesn't put anyone in a good position. They really didn't have to do this the way that they did. What's done is done. We'll see. We'll see if it gets undone or if a compromise can be reached. I bet the president of the bus and taxi union, I mean, if Teamsters was here, boy, Teamsters would be right on it, man. I was telling my son, my stepdad was a part of Teamsters. He was a truck driver, and he didn't do long hauls, he did short hauls, but he was a part of the Teamsters union, and it's always good to unionize. It's always good to be part of a union. Safety in numbers, like schools of fish, you know. It's always a good thing. Unions are always a good thing because they protect the workers. And I mean, my stepdad would call me, or my mom would call me and go, this week we're boycotting these bananas and those peaches and this company and that company, or, you know, it's like there's always a list, whatever it was. It was, you know, don't eat these apples, or don't eat anything by Kraft, or don't eat, you know. None of that is true right now, but this is like from the 1970s through the 80s. I was always, every week I was given instructions of what not to buy, and I told all my friends and family, don't buy these things. Told the rest of my cousins and whatever, don't buy these things because Teamsters say so. So a lot of people were supporting Teamsters without actually even being a part of the union. And I mean, they have far-reaching effects. So I mean, if they were down here, boy, they would have been in that presidential palace within probably an hour to 2 hours, and they would have already negotiated a deal. And I would love to see, at least, I mean, if they could just say, okay, look, we're going to refund, you know, or we go back on our word for half of the subsidies for the next 6 months, say, you know, to get people used to the idea. Or only a fourth, and then in 6 months raise it to 50%, and then 75% gone, and then I mean, just something to kind of ease people into it. But I don't know. It's like breakups, maybe. Maybe you just rip it off like a Band-Aid real fast. Just psst, done. I feel all the pain at once. Maybe that's better. I don't know. So, heartmouth.org has the Schumann resonance for these 6 cities. So at midnight in California, they started off at 100 hertz frequency, and they went down to 98 by 4 a.m. In Hofuf, Saudi Arabia, they started off at 103 at midnight, and by 4 a.m. they went down to 101. Ventura Highway is 101. I've been thinking about that song lately. In Lithuania, they started off at 30 hertz frequency and went down to 0. There's another 0. That's interesting. At 4 a.m. And at midnight, Alberta, Canada was at 175 hertz frequency, and they went only down to 174 after a brief bump up to 176 an hour before that. At midnight, Northland, New Zealand was at 16 hertz frequency, and by 4 a.m. they were down to 0. So we got 2 zeros. And last but not least, in Hululu, South Africa, they started off at 214 hertz frequency, and they went up to 205 by 4 a.m. And of course, in Miracles, we are on lesson 116, which is still a review. And the first part of the review is taken from lesson 101. And this is what it is. God's will for me is perfect happiness. God's will for me is perfect happiness. God's will for me is perfect happiness. And I can suffer but from the belief that there is another will apart from His. The second part of the lesson is taken from lesson 102. And it says, I share God's will for happiness for me. I share God's will for happiness for me. And it goes on further to say, I share my Father's will for me, His Son. What He has given me is all I want. What He has given me is all there is. So that's from the Foundation for Inner Peace and A Course in Miracles. I highly recommend it if you want to actually go through all the lessons and really make a decent study of it. I highly recommend it. It is one of the highest vibrational courses I've ever taken, and I really feel the power in it. And it's already helped me quite a bit in my life. All right, when I come back, I'm going to talk about vitamins. We all know that vitamins are good for us, but we always just assume that's true, but we don't know really what vitamins are good for usually. You know, we hear things, oh, vitamin C is good for colds, you know, or vitamin A is good for, I don't even know what, oh, your eyesight, you know, carrots. But a lot of times you'll hear carrots good for your eyes, but you don't know why, that they contain vitamin A. And there's a lot of things people just don't know, because you don't think to look it up. You just wonder about it, and then a few minutes later, oh well, I'll just take my vitamins. So what I'm going to go over tonight is what vitamins do for you. And I'm going to go down the list of each individual vitamin. I'm going to consult Harvard on this. Literally, I'm looking at harvard.edu. It's healthharvard.edu. And I'm going to consult a couple other websites. And I'm going to tell you guys what happens if you do not take vitamins, as well as what they're good for. So if you're having certain symptoms, we're going to go over what does it take to get those symptoms gone. Like, is your hair falling out? What could that be? Well, let's make sure your hair doesn't fall out. You know, so we're going to go over all the vitamins in just a moment right after this message. I'll be right back. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's high time you did. It is the absolute easiest way to make a podcast. First of all, it's absolutely free. Second of all, they have creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. You guys have known that I've been doing this for 8 months using the Anchor.fm app right on my cell phone, and I have done it everywhere, right? I have recorded this in my living room, my bedroom, little cafes in Quito, Ecuador, all over Cuenca. It's so absolutely easy to make your podcast, and editing is just a snap. Anchor also will distribute your podcast for you, and it took me about 2.5 months to become syndicated, and now I'm available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more, and so can you. You can make money from your podcast also, and there's no minimum requirement. You get paid from your very first listener. It is everything that you need to make a podcast all in one place. So please, if you are interested in making a podcast of your very own, do not hesitate to start with Anchor. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. Do you ever wish you could look into the next chapter in your book of life and see what's coming next? What does the universe have in store for you? I can help you with that. I will give you a Celtic cross reading, which is 10 cards, or you can ask me 3 questions, and I use 3 cards per question. So that's 9 cards, or I can channel your higher guidance, or maybe God directly for you. Maybe you want to talk to your dear departed Aunt Edna, because maybe you have a few questions and she was the smartest person you knew. If your deceased relatives are available or your ascended masters, I can channel them for you personally. Let me have 1 hour to show you the future in your next chapter of your book of life. Readings are $75, and it takes me an hour to an hour and a half to complete. And for this price, you will also be hooked up to the healing grid around the planet for free, which means yours truly, me, I will be giving you Reiki 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the rest of your life. All you have to do is let me know. metaphysicalsoulspeak@gmail.com, and we will explore your future together. All right, guys, when you are given news and you give a choice to hear the bad news first and then the good news, it's always better to hear the bad news first and have it ripped off like a Band-Aid. See, 2nd time in a row in one night. And speaking of Band-Aids, this has nothing to do with the topic for tonight, but have you guys ever tried that juice in the United States that's white grape mixed with it's like white grape mixed with cranberry, and then I think there's white grape mixed with pomegranate and cranberry. Have you ever smelled that juice? It smells like a Band-Aid. I don't know why. It's just so bizarre. It smells like a Band-Aid. Like my husband and I would buy it for the kids, and we'd be like, "Ah, damn it, we bought the Band-Aid juice again." And after you drink it, it's fine, but the smell of it is really bizarre. It's like the old-fashioned bandages that I put on my knee when I'd scrape my knee because I fell down a lot as a kid. Anyway, probably because I was lacking a vitamin. So let's get back to the topic of vitamins. So the first bad news, if you will, that I could tell you is that there is a thing called hypervitaminosis. So we all get to learn a new word tonight, hypervitaminosis. So some vitamins can cause an acute or chronic toxicity, and this is in wikipedia.org. They say that there's this condition that usually occurs only for the fat-soluble vitamins. So if you take too much supplementation, you could get hypervitaminosis. And usually it's from vitamin A and vitamin D when you take it in supplement form. You can never get it from just eating the right foods, okay? It's only if you take the supplements. And because they're fatty, fat-soluble, they're not dissolved and you don't pee them out, basically, very easily. And they get stored in the liver, and it can really be toxic for your liver and cause a great deal of problems. So if you have an excessive intake of vitamin D, for example, if you're just taking it every day, don't take it every day. Go stand in the sun for 5 minutes a day. Everyone can handle that, right? You know, and if it's a winter and you've been outside for 3 or 4 weeks, then take a vitamin D every 3 or 4 days. You know, don't take a huge honking dose every single day because it's really, really, really bad for you. But basically, you'll get hypercalcemia, nausea, weakness, and kidney stones if you take vitamin D too much. And vitamin A, taking too much of that, let's see, I'll tell you about that later because it's not on this. Sorry about that. We all know about, not having a deficiency in, so that's if you take too much. But then the other thing is if you have a deficiency. So when you have a deficiency in vitamin C, because you're a pirate on a ship and you've been out to sea for a long time, you haven't had fruit, because, that's just so common now. You'll get scurvy. And so scurvy is a deadly disease in which collagen is not properly formed, and it causes poor wound healing, which pirates are susceptible to wounds. It also causes bleeding of the gums, severe pain, and then, just basically death. So you have to take lemons and limes for scurvy because they're very high in vitamin C. But it's very, very rare these days to have scurvy because pretty much everyone knows about it, and we all like taking vitamin C, especially when it's chewable, and it's usually very flavorful. And also fruit is very much abundant in this world, and the way things are now, thank God, and people know about it, so it doesn't really just happen. But back in the early days when the Scottish surgeon James Lind discovered that citrus prevents scurvy in 1747, oh my God, like just a year after the Jacobite uprising and battle at Culloden. Okay, enough of Outlander. So just one year after that, he discovered that if you use lemons and limes to avoid scurvy, you'll just be better off. And basically the British Royal Navy started using this, and this led to the nickname Limey for British sailors. I wondered why they were called limeys. That's why, because they were known for eating limes to prevent scurvy. I never understood why until now. That's pretty funny. Also can be prevented by practicing good hygiene, regular exercise, and maintaining the morale of your crew, because we're all pirates. Yeah, that's not really helpful, is it? Okay, let's see here. Let me go to, there's another website over here. Now, there are 8 common signs that you're deficient in vitamins. There's a lot more than this, but I'm going to go over this one. This is from healthline.com. The first one is if you have brittle hair and nails. And one of the things that can cause this is a lack of biotin, which is vitamin B7. And B7 helps your body to convert food into energy. So when you're deficient in biotin, it's very rare, but when it does occur, it causes brittle, thinning, splitting hair, and nails. And that's the most notable symptoms. So also, if you have a deficiency, you're going to have chronic fatigue, cramps, tingling, muscle pain. Tingling is in the hands and the feet, muscle pain, cramps. Pregnant women, heavy smokers or drinkers, and people with digestive disorders like leaky gut syndrome and Crohn's disease are most at risk for developing a biotin deficiency. Good to know. I did not know that. Also, the prolonged use of antibiotics and anti-seizure medicines are risk factors. Now, if you eat raw egg whites, that will create a biotin deficiency as well. So, ew, don't do that. Yuck. So, raw egg whites contain avidin, which is a protein that will bind to the biotin and reduce the absorption thereof. Now, foods rich in biotin include egg yolks. Oh, the irony. So, egg yolks, organ meats, which is totally freaking nasty. Don't eat those. Let's go to the next thing on the list. Egg yolks, fish. Skip right over the organ meats because gross. Fish, meat, dairy, nuts, seeds, spinach, cauliflower, broccoli, sweet potatoes, yeast. What I think they mean by yeast is nutritional yeast, which is very high in B vitamins, especially if you're a vegan. That is one of your biggest go-tos. Whole grains and bananas. Now, adults with brittle hair or nails might consider trying a supplement that provides 30 micrograms of biotin per day. Micrograms, not milligrams. You don't need a lot, but you do need some. So, number 2 sign of a vitamin deficiency is when you have cracks in the corners of your mouth or mouth ulcers. So lesions in and around the mouth can possibly be linked to an insufficient intake of iron or B vitamins. Okay, so basically what is that called? Anemia. So let's see here. In another study, 28% of patients that have mouth ulcers and deficiencies had deficiencies in thiamine, riboflavin, and pyridoxine, otherwise called vitamin B1, B2, and B6. So it seems to me that if you just take a vitamin B supplement of all of these things, that's going to help you. Angular cheilitis is a condition causing the corners of the mouth to crack, split, and bleed. And it's caused by excess salivation or dehydration. So they're saying basically take B vitamins, riboflavin more often than the others, and iron. I would just say B vitamins in general, iron. But foods rich in iron, it's always better to go to the food source of what you're missing, include poultry, meat, fish, legumes, and as you know, that's lentils and peas and beans, dark leafy greens, nuts, seeds, and whole grains. Dark leafy greens, I would say spinach is a good one, but sometimes that has problems with medicines that people take. So if you're on medicine, you have to make sure, look it up. But kale is so excellent, and it makes really good shakes. If you do kale mixed with frozen, just go to your frozen berry aisle. If you don't have berries in season, just go get a handful of berries, throw them in with some kale, do a little bit of stevia and water, and oh my god, it's so good. It doesn't look good, but it tastes amazing. It just tastes like berries. You don't even taste the kale, and that's like the best way to get your dark leafy greens. Or if you want to fry it up, if you like collard greens, I love collard greens. You know, I'm weird like that. I learned to love them when I got over to Detroit, and just when I went out to eat, that was on the menu. I'm like, oh hell yeah, I'm loving my soul food. So yeah, but collard greens is good, and if you do kale and you just fry that up real quick. Just flash fry it in a pan with a little bit of orange juice. That will break down the enzymes. The orange juice will break down the kale and be very easy to eat, and it's so tasty. Anyway, dark leafy greens, nuts, seeds, and whole grains are rich in iron. And good sources of thiamine, riboflavin, and pyridoxine, or the B vitamins, are whole grains, poultry, meat, fish, eggs, dairy, legumes, vegetables, green vegetables, starchy vegetables, nuts, seeds, and organ meats. Again, with the grossness of that, but okay. I'm not going to let myself get involved with it. Yeah, no, I am. It's disgusting. Bleeding gums, number 3. When your teeth or when your gums are bleeding, that's usually a diet lacking in vitamin C. It is an immune system helper. It is a wound healer and an antioxidant, and it prevents cell damage. So you have to have a complete vitamin C if you take vitamin C supplements. If you just take ascorbic acid, it's not going to do much. You have to have the full spectrum vitamin C in order to have the greatest health benefits, according to Dr. Berg. I just watched a video on this like a week ago on the Dr. Berg channel and that's spelled B-E-R-G, on YouTube. So vitamin C cannot be made in the human body, so you have to have supplementation of it all the time. So it's very rare, but if you eat vegetables and fruits, you're never going to have a vitamin C deficiency. But most people do fail to eat enough fruits and vegetables every day, which is why I recommend the kale shake, because it's a way to get a lot of nutrients, and just it takes like 2 seconds to drink it down. It's easier to drink a lot of vegetables. Juicing is helpful. And just throw it in a blender. You don't need a juicer that's going to extract the fiber and you're going to lose the fiber. Only do that if you have problems with bloating from having too much fiber in your diet. And so, let's see. Poor night vision and white growths on your eyes. That is when you are lacking in vitamin A. So when you have night blindness and in your ability to see in low levels of light or in the dark, your vitamin A is lacking, basically. So let's see here. If you have scaly patches on your skin, seborrheic dermatitis, and dandruff, and this is making me scratch my head for some reason. I don't have dandruff, thank you God, but just reading this is giving me the heebie-jeebie, creepy crawly feeling in my scalp. Both of these things, itchy, flaky skin like dandruff, and the seborrheic dermatitis, they can appear on your face, your upper chest, your armpits, and in your groin area. Really kick dandruff of the groin. That's really disgusting. I had no idea that was a thing. Oh my God, I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight. I'm going to be so grossed out. Like the Virgo in me is going, ew, 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 ew. The likelihood of these skin disorders is highest within the first 3 months of life. Oh yeah, cradle cap. We used to call it cradle crap. When babies have like weird stuff on their head. But it happens then, also happens during puberty and in the middle of your adulthood. So, yeah, lovely. Thank you. Just when you're probably getting a divorce and you need to start dating again, that's probably when it's going to start coming up again. Freaking great. All right. Basically, if you have a low level of zinc and B3, B2, and B6, then that's when this is going to probably come up. Let's see here. Hair loss is a very common symptom of vitamin deficiency. Did you know that? I wonder if you start taking these vitamins, would you get your hair back? Sometimes, though, there is inside the little tiny follicles, there will be a bacteria that eats away at the hair, and then the bacteria remains on the head. And it's not diagnosed in time, and that's why men go bald. It attacks more, men that have higher levels of testosterone. And so there's something, now my head is itching again because I'm freaking out about the hair thing. So if you if you have that and you take this antibiotic ointment you put on your hair or on your bald head, sometimes the hair will start to grow back. But it's something you have to get from a doctor. It's not like, Neosporin or something. Okay, anyway. Hair loss is... A lot of people suffer hair loss by the time they reach 50 years old. And what will prevent or slow down your hair loss? Here's a list. Make a note. Iron. So your body makes DNA with iron. And this includes the DNA that's present in your hair. And so too little iron will cause your hair to stop growing or fall out. Now, if your hair is falling out and you're on the keto diet, it's because you are failing to get enough protein. Now, there's a whole thing that Dr. Berg went over as far as if you're eating meat, like say you're eating beef that has the most amount of protein, that is absorbed by the body. Whereas spirulina, tons and tons of protein, except in 100 grams, only 3 grams would be absorbed in your body, and 97 grams you just pee out. So you be drinking those disgusting spirulina shakes all day long, but you're not going to be absorbing a whole hell of a lot of protein. So, but if you do eat meat, you have a higher chance of absorbing the protein. And there was a thing that he said about this. Just because you're eating 100 grams of steak doesn't mean there's 100 grams of protein in it. There's only 67. For every 100 grams, it'd be like 67 grams of protein. So in a 3-ounce steak, it's only 67 grams of protein or whatever. And it sounds like a lot, but it's really not, because you need a lot, especially when you're on the keto diet. To burn the ketones and keep that up, you need a huge amount of protein. So anyway, you got to go look at his stuff again if you're on that diet. And if your hair starts to fall out, it's really what happened. I had to start eating, instead of eating 1 egg at a meal, I'm eating 3 eggs now because of that. So basically, what will help prevent or slow down hair loss? Iron, zinc, which is essential for protein synthesis and cell division, which you need both those things to grow your hair. Linoleic acid and alpha linoleic acid are essential fatty acids, and they're required for maintaining and growing your hair. Vitamin B3 and vitamin B7, when you are missing niacin in your diet, that's what causes alopecia, when your hair falls out in small patches. Alopecia is also caused by stress, but I think if you have niacin, you're going to have less stress, because B vitamins calm your stress. Take a good B supplement. Be good. Biotin is vitamin B7, and it's basically also just linked to hair loss. Okay, so meat, fish, eggs, legumes, dark leafy. You see the pattern. Everything I said before, they're all good sources of iron and zinc. Pretty much the same thing. Now, for the linoleic acid and alpha linoleic acid, the omegas, nuts, leafy vegetables, whole grains, vegetable oils. Now, not soy. Just avoid that like the frickin' plague, okay? Because that could throw off your hormones. It's just soy. No, not good. Walnuts, flax seeds. Flax seeds are frickin' really good for you. If you just take flax seeds and throw them on anything you're eating, you're not even going to notice that they're there. They're a little bit crunchy. You just throw them in your salad, throw them in your oatmeal in the morning. You just get used to throwing a whole tablespoon of flax seeds on whatever it is that you're eating, and you'll get used to it after a while. And it's just super, super, super good for hormones, for a whole bunch of stuff. But chia seeds, soy nuts, just, screw the soy. Nothing soy. Unless your doctor says specifically eat soy, just avoid it. If you're in menopause, it might be okay to have soy, but in any other time, when you're a man, for example, you don't want to grow boobs. Soy is so much high in plant estrogen. It's just, you don't want to grow boobs. That's all I'm saying. All right. These supplements appear to boost hair growth, they say. Everything that we just said. Now, excess selenium and excess vitamin A have both been linked to hair loss. So again, with the stopping of the excess vitamin A, there was my friend knew a guy who drank so much carrot juice that his skin turned orange. I bet that guy is bald and orange right now. If he didn't give that up. Probably on a second liver transplant too. But too much vitamin A is super, super bad for your liver. It's stored in the liver. All right, so red or white bumps on your skin, it's called keratosis pilaris. It's like a goose-like bump. It's like goose pimples or goose bumps. And they can sometimes be in your cheeks or your arms, your thighs, or your butt. And the little bumps are accompanied sometimes by corkscrew hairs or ingrown hairs, and that sounds thoroughly nasty as well. But everyone has these little bumps from time to time. Now, it has been linked to people that have low vitamin A and low vitamin C. So it's not good to have too much. It's not good to have not enough. So you got to just have a balance with everything. So traditional treatments of that are medicated creams, and it says add vitamins rich in A and C to your diet. Again, the yellow-orange colored vegetables, fruit, dark leafy greens, eggs, fish, dairy, meat, blah, blah, blah. All right. The thing is, though, about these little bumps, they can also be caused by Candida albicans. When you have Candida iasis, you have too much yeast and yeast overgrowth in your body. If you eat too much sugar, the yeast will grow faster and they will overtake the good bacteria in your gut. So you need to have a lot of the good bacteria. So probiotics. Probiotics are found in sourdough bread. If you're not having an issue with wheat, you're not on the keto diet, sourdough bread is good. Sauerkraut is good. Vinegar, anything that's fermented food, especially kombucha, the kombucha mushrooms. Also, and of course, yogurt. Or you can just go buy bottles of acidophilus at the health food store. But you got to take all of the good bacteria, not just acidophilus. So try to find a really good, like a $20, $30, $40 bottle of this stuff and just take it. In fact, there's a liquid. And if you're very, very low on that, and you're having all kinds of digestive issues and a lot of skin issues and even hair issues and nail issues, I would say go out there and you can even get a vegan one that's a liquid. Just drink the whole damn bottle in like 2 days. It's very sour, and the bacteria tastes sour, which is what gives yogurt its tang, the tanginess, but it's very, very good for you. I mean, I thought you'd have to just do like 1 tablespoon a day and then it goes bad, when you're halfway through the bottle. But someone told me, no, just drink the whole damn bottle. you know? And I've done that before, and it's like, oh man, I feel so great. Like in the week following, as the bacteria take hold in your gut, it actually starts to reverse a lot of health issues. Might be why I've stayed looking young for so long, possibly. But I have had problems with yeast overgrowth, and you know what, to be honest, you could go on a diet that takes a year and a half, and you go on herbs and see a nutritionist and I saw an herbalist and a naturopath. And I mean, it cost me like $650 a month for all the herbs and the special breads and the special, like I had to have this one kind of bread that didn't have wheat in it. It was like all this stuff. It was like ridiculous. And then it happened again when I was here in Ecuador, and I just said, you know what, screw it. I went to the pharmacy and I bought all of the antifungal, anti-yeast pills. I took those for 3 weeks. I took a bunch of yogurt. I had a bunch of acidophilus type supplements. They don't have acidophilus here. They have like 3 or 4 different bacteria that you can get at the healthy gut bacteria. So I took a bunch of those. I took the antifungals, and I felt great right after. And if you have a white coating on your tongue, you have this problem with yeast. So that's the other thing that can cause those white bumps on your skin. And it's not acne, it's the keratosis pilaris. Okay, restless leg syndrome, also known as Willis-Ekbom disease. It's a nervous condition. It's very uncomfortable. I was with a man for a while. We dated for like a year, and he had this, and it was like, have you ever seen a dog or a cat who are dreaming and they start running and their legs start moving like they're running, and it's freaking hilarious? Well, he would do this. And of course I'd wake up and like start laughing because it was hilarious, and not so much to him. I had no idea it was a vitamin deficiency, so probably shouldn't have made fun of him. Should have just said, hey dude, this is a vitamin you need. So basically what you need if you have restless leg syndrome is iron. It is an iron deficiency. When you're anemic, you might get restless leg syndrome. 10% of all Americans have it. It's a neurological problem, but neurological problems usually are connected to iron as well as B vitamins. So again, with the fish and the dark leafy greens and the nuts and the seeds and the whole grains and the meat and the poultry, that also will help. Using a cast iron pot or pan will absolutely help your iron absorption. And if you cook in a cast iron pan and you're going to eat that food to make more iron in your diet, during that time you have to avoid coffee or tea for that meal, because that will help boost your iron absorption if you avoid caffeine at that moment. So let's see. Don't take iron supplements though. Just do it through food, do it through diet. Cast iron pans. If you must do it through supplements, don't take it very often, like once a week or something, because if you have too much iron in your blood, you can die, okay? So that, again, this is another case where you just don't want to take too much supplements. Now, restless leg syndrome also can be caused by a magnesium insufficiency. I recommend highly go get cocoa powder without any sugar in it. Add stevia, coconut oil, hot chocolate, and a little splash of milk, even almond milk if you don't drink actual milk. Just have your hot cocoa every night, and that will give you a lot of magnesium. So there's that. So most of those things are from healthline.com, although I added a bunch of my own info. I always do that. So I'm going to go a little bit more over some deficiencies before I get into. So now, the one word I mentioned earlier, that was when you have too much vitamins. Well, when you don't have enough, when you are lacking in specific vitamins, it's called avitaminosis. Avitaminosis. So it's like a lack of vitamins, a vitamin deficiency. It could be caused by a poor diet. If you're just sitting around eating potato chips all day and Snicker bars, probably not going to help you. You might be a little bit lacking in your vitamins. So another thing is, if you cook your food, and if you cook your food at very, very high temperatures, it's going to deplete the vitamins and minerals in your food, and that is never good. It inactivates the vitamins, so it's better to eat raw food or slightly cooked food. Never eat raw potatoes, they can kill you. Never eat old potatoes, they can kill you. Be very, very careful with potatoes. If you're on the keto diet, just don't have potatoes at all. That's just the bottom line. Okay, and I love potatoes. I'm very, very Irish saying this stuff about potatoes, so it pains me to tell you not to have potatoes, okay? But if you're on keto, don't have them. But if you don't have intestinal absorption of your vitamins, that can lead to nutritional deficiencies. So if you have like leaky gut syndrome, that can lead to that. So you have to fix leaky gut syndrome with drinking gelatin every night for 6 months is what I discovered, and that's what I've been doing. And my hair has started to grow back its original color since I started that. So interesting to note that. So when you are lactating, if you're a mother and you're breastfeeding, or if you're pregnant, when you're a child and you're actively growing, these are situations in which you might be lacking in vitamins. You know, if you're running around on the playground all day long, or or whatever, that can cause lack of vitamins because you need more to function. So that's something to look into. If you have an unbalanced diet where you have too many carbohydrates, not enough vegetables, not enough protein, that also can interfere with having enough vitamins in your system. If you drink too much alcohol, that will interfere with the absorption of many of your vitamins, okay? So we're going to go over this from ScienceDirect.com. And what they say is, if you have a deficiency in vitamin A, it can lead to xerophthalmia, I have no idea what that is, anemia, high morbidity from infectious disease. Oh my God, you definitely don't want that. If you have a lack of vitamin B1, also known as thiamine, you're going to be inviting into your life beriberi. Doesn't sound very, very good to me. Neurological dysfunctions and cardiac failure happen with a lack of vitamin B1. Vitamin B2, also known as riboflavin or riboflavin, if you don't have enough of that in your diet, it's going to lead to oral, ocular, and genital syndrome. Well, that doesn't sound freaking good at all. A riboflavinosis, angular cheilitis, I don't even know what that is, dermatitis, oh yeah, inflammation in your skin, and photophobia. This is one I probably need to go take some B vitamins when I end the show tonight. Photophobia is when your eyes are extremely sensitive to light, and in some conditions you need to wear sunglasses even indoors when the lights are too bright. It might be because you are lacking in vitamin B2. When you use contact lenses, that also causes photophobia. If you are lacking in vitamin B3, that can lead to, again, dermatitis, also dementia, diarrhea, and death. The 4 Ds, you don't want those. And pellagra, I have no idea what that is. Folate or vitamin B9 can lead, the lack of that can lead to anemia and neural tube defects, I guess, in babies. So if you're pregnant, make sure you take a lot of folate. Now, if you are lacking in cobalamin, otherwise known as vitamin B12, that can lead to neurological dysfunctions and anemia. As we all know, scurvy is what you get when you don't have enough vitamin C in your diet. Most people do by now. When you're having a lack of vitamin D, that can lead to rickets, which is, a bone issue, osteomalacia, And it also is probably linked to an increase of infectious diseases. So basically, vitamin D, go stand in the sun 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day. Don't take a supplement because that can lead to other things if you take it too much. But basically, you need to take a full spectrum vitamin C, full spectrum vitamin B supplementation, and go stand in the sun for 10 minutes. And if you need to take a supplement for vitamin A, I highly recommend beta carotene, because your body will manufacture vitamin A as needed when you take beta carotene. Beta carotene will not harm you. It will just it'll stay in your body and be turned into vitamin A when your body says, hey, let's make more of that. That sounds fun. So that's important to know. If you take vitamin A specifically, that's not a good thing. All right, so we're going to go to Harvard now. health.harvard.edu. We want to stay healthy, so here's a list of vitamins and what do they do for you. Okay, retinoids and carotene, otherwise known as vitamin A, and this also includes retinol, retinol esters, and retinoic acid. They're known as preformed vitamin A, and beta carotene is what you need, it says, to convert to vitamin A as your body needs it. And your body will store it because it's an oil. It'll be stored in the liver. So, essential for vision, lycopene may lower prostate cancer risk, keep your tissues and skin healthy. It'll play an important role in your bone growth and in the immune system. Diets rich in carotenoids or alpha carotene and lycopene seem to lower lung cancer risk. Another thing that lowers lung cancer risk, and this is bizarre, is living at a super high elevation. How weird is that, right? Okay. I know that because I moved to a higher elevation. I wanted to see if there's any benefits at all, and that was one of them. Also, when I go to like the ocean now, God, I could breathe like a mofo. I'm like, and it feels so great to breathe, because here it's where I live, it's like super hard to breathe. I'm like 8,400 feet above sea level here. Okay, so let's see. Carotenoids act as antioxidants in the body, and foods rich in the carotenoids lutein and zeaxanthin will protect against cataracts. Remember, carrots are good for eyes, for eyesight, and that's because they're full of the carotenoids, retinoids, all the vitamin A's, and the precursor for vitamin A. So, good food sources of vitamin A: beef, liver, eggs, shrimp, fish, fortified milk, butter, cheddar cheese, Swiss cheese. That's the source of retinoid. Source of beta carotene is sweet potatoes, carrots, pumpkins. We are in the pumpkin pie season. So, I mean, if you're in the North Hemisphere, have some pumpkin pie. For me, extra whipped cream, please. Seriously, whipped cream, like ready whipped in a can. There's no better thing on this planet. It's $8 a can here in Ecuador to buy ready whip. So I just never have. It's way too, it's just too rich. It's just too much money. Although when I become a millionaire, oh my God, I'm going to have that quite often. So anyway, pumpkin, squash, spinach, mangoes, turnip greens are all good for your eyes and all the things, just to obtain your vitamin A. So, if you have large amounts of supplemental vitamin A, according to Harvard, that can be harmful to the bones. Not good. So, if you don't take the supplements and you just eat really super healthy organic food, I think you're probably going to be okay. Thiamine, vitamin B1, helps to convert your food into energy, and it's needed for your healthy skin, hair, muscles, brain, and it's critical for your nerve functioning. Okay, so pork chops, brown rice, soy milk, ham, watermelons, and acorn squash. That's where you're going to get your vitamin B1. So acorn squash for me, watermelons for me, and not really much of the other things. Unless bacon. Maybe bacon. I found a really excellent source of organic fed bacon here. It's, oh my God, Applewood smoked bacon. It's freaking amazing. But anyway, those are the things that will give you vitamin B1. So most nutritious foods actually do have a little bit of thiamine, so you're probably not going to be deficient. Riboflavin, or vitamin B2, will help you convert food into energy also. It's needed for healthy skin, healthy hair, blood, and brain. I had a brain teacher. She taught about the brain, and she was from Russia, and she had the creepiest accent for that class, and she'd always go, brain. And it just gave me the freaking willies. I could not pay attention, and I did not pass the class at all. I think I got like a D in the class. It was the only D I received in university that I couldn't rectify. I think I got one more in a different class because I was sick or something, and I missed the only test or something, and I had to retake it. But brain, ugh, yuck. I couldn't stand that accent. Anyway, so B2 is needed for a healthy brain. Most Americans do get enough of the nutrient, according to Harvard. But if you want to make sure you get it, milk, eggs, yogurt, cheese, meats, green leafy vegetables. I wonder what's good for dyslexia. Whole and enriched grains. I don't know. Just stay away from wheat. Really. But whole grains, maybe like oatmeal, okay, is maybe okay. And cereals, and that's riboflavin. I think what they're talking about is things that are they're fortified, but I don't know. I like to stay away from fortified stuff that's doctored with. Straight from the way Mother Nature intended, for me, is always the healthiest way to go. All right, niacin is vitamin B3. It's also known as nicotinic acid, and it helps convert food to energy like all the other vitamins that are in the B category to help you be full of energy. Essential for healthy skin, blood cells, brain, and the nervous system. Now, the sources for B3 are meat, poultry, fish, fortified whole grains, mushrooms, magic ones? Probably not. Potatoes, and peanut butter. Niacin occurs naturally in food. Now, if you get a lot of stiff necks, by the way, just stay away from peanuts because it can clog up your gallbladder and give you a stiff neck. And if you massage your gallbladder for 1 minute, you will probably get rid of your stiff neck, and then you'll know it was the peanuts that you ate in the last 48 hours. All right, so niacin occurs naturally in food, and it can be made by your body from the amino acid tryptophan, found in turkey. They said poultry, but they should have said turkey, with the help of vitamin B6. Pantothenic acid, which is vitamin B5, very good for your hair, by the way. It helps convert food into energy, helps make lipids or fats, and your neurotransmitters. You want to be quick-witted, quick-minded, fast-thinking, fast on your feet, and able to punch someone before they can see your hand swinging. Okay, maybe not that part. But pantothenic acid is responsible for all of that. Neurotransmitters, steroid hormones, and hemoglobin. That's good for your blood. Now, pantothenic acid is found in a wide variety of very nutritious foods, including chicken, egg yolks, whole grains, broccoli, mushrooms, avocados. I had half an avocado tonight with my dinner, and tomato products. Well, I just had tomatoes tonight as well. I also had eggs tonight as well. Cool. All right. Deficiency in pantothenic acid causes burning feet. Hot foot. Wow. Burning feet and other neurological symptoms. I don't think they mean actually on fire, but if you feel like they're burning, you probably need pantothenic acid. Pyridoxine, otherwise known as vitamin B6, pyridoxine, not pyramid, but pyridoxamine, aids in lowering homocysteine levels and may reduce the risk of heart disease. It helps convert tryptophan into niacin and serotonin, which is a neurotransmitter that plays key roles in sleep, appetite, and moods. Helps make red blood cells, influences cognitive abilities, and immune function. I would have to say vitamin B6 is extremely powerful and necessary. Also, it is a natural diuretic and it is contained in apple cider vinegar. So if you go ahead and take a tablespoon in a glass of water, you will find out that you don't really need a diuretic if you normally take diuretics. In fact, I've taken to taking apple cider vinegar when I need to take a water pill, and most of the time I don't need the water pill. It's that powerful. Mine, I have organic. I know the lady who makes it. She makes it in her home, and I found out how to make it. You can make it in your house in 30 days. It's so easy to make. So vitamin B6 is actually, you can make it in your home if you make apple cider vinegar, and all you need is apples and things like apples and sugar and water and maybe a little bit of yeast, possibly yeast, I'm not sure. Anyway, you can look it up on YouTube, you'll find it if you care about it. Otherwise, just go buy some at the store. Health food store, Dr. Bragg's is the best. So meat, fish, poultry, legumes, tofu, and other soy products, potatoes, non-citrus fruits such as bananas and watermelon are high in vitamin B6. That's true because watermelons make you pee a lot, and that's what vitamin B6 does. It helps you get rid of the excess water weight. So that's why watermelons help for water weight. Most people do not get enough of vitamin B6, by the way. Now, vitamin B12, cobalamin, aids in lowering homocysteine levels and lowers the risk of heart disease, assists in making new cells and breaking down fatty acids and amino acids so that your body can better utilize them, protects nerve cells and encourages their normal growth, helps make red blood cells and your DNA, remember, related to hair. So now vitamin B12 is found in meat, poultry, fish, cheese, milk, eggs, fortified cereals, and fortified soy milk. Again, you know what I feel about soy. Some people, particularly older adults, are deficient in vitamin B12 because they have trouble absorbing this vitamin from food. And now if you're on a vegan or vegetarian diet, you're not going to get enough B12. So it's mostly found in animal products. So you might have to take a supplement. If you have to take a supplement in this, go to Trader Joe's if you have one near you. Trader Joe's has the most amazing vitamin B12. Is like $12 and it will last you like a year, so it's totally worth it. And the pills are teeny tiny, hot pink. They're adorable and they're very powdery. You just put them under your tongue and it will absorb super fast in your body. So if you do have to supplement, Trader Joe's has the best, or your local health food store, Whole Life Foods, whatever. So a lack of vitamin B12, though, can cause memory loss, dementia, and numbness in your arms and your legs. So pretty important to have that. Eat your eggs, man. Biotin helps convert food into energy and synthesizes glucose. Helps make and break down some fatty acids, and it is needed for healthy bones and hair. So biotin is found in many foods, including whole grains, organ meats, again with that, egg yolks, soybeans, and fish. And Some is made by, so biotin is made by the bacteria in your GI tract, in your bacteria in your gut or gastrointestinal tract, but it's not really clear how much that your body will absorb when it's made by that. And also, if you don't have enough and you have an overgrowth of yeast, you're probably going to be lacking in biotin. And it's found in most vitamin B supplements as well. Ascorbic acid, vitamin C. Okay, vitamin C lowers the risk for cancer, and it includes the cancers of the mouth, the stomach, esophagus, and breast. Long-term use of supplemental vitamin C can protect against cataracts. It helps to make collagen and keeps you young, the connective tissue that knits together wounds and supports your blood vessel walls. It helps make the neurotransmitters serotonin and norepinephrine. It acts as an antioxidant and neutralizes unstable molecules that can damage cells, and it bolsters your immune system. So vitamin C is found in fruits and fruit juices, especially citrus, remember the limeys, potatoes, broccoli, bell peppers, spinach, strawberries, tomatoes, and Brussels sprouts. Now, evidence of vitamin C helps reduce colds has not been convincing, according to Harvard. Interesting, right? If you take a C supplement with zinc, you might get better, but probably because of the zinc, right? So choline helps make and release neurotransmitter acetylcholine, which aids your nervous system and your brain activities, plays a role in metabolizing and transporting fats. So many foods, especially milk, eggs, liver, salmon, and peanuts, are high in choline. So normally the body will make small amounts of it, but it's not known if it's enough at certain ages. So it's always good to just eat your eggs. Eggs and milk seem to be like the number 1 and 2 ways to get these things. Calciferol, vitamin D is called calciferol. Did you guys know that? I did not know that until right this very second. It helps maintain normal blood levels of calcium and phosphorus and strengthens your bones. Vitamin D helps to form your teeth and your bones. So not only does it form it, it strengthens them. Supplements can reduce the number of non-spinal fractures. So if you take vitamin D just 2 or 3 times a week, never more, never every day. Go stand in the sun 10 minutes a day. That's all you need. You know, and when it's dreary out, every few days take one. Don't take it every day. So fortified milk or margarine. God, don't eat margarine. Yuck. Fortified butter. You can get butter with vitamin D, I think. Especially if it's organic and the cows eat like clover or something that has a lot of vitamin D in it. But fortified cereals and fatty fish have vitamin D in it. I would just say, you know what, vitamin D milk. Why not, right? Most people do not get enough of this nutrient. While the body uses sunlight to make vitamin D, it cannot make enough if you live in the northern climates or you don't spend a lot of time in the sun. If you're a mushroom person, probably that's not good, right? Alpha tocopherol, vitamin E. Now, if you get a supplement that says you're taking D-alpha tocopherol, that's fine. If it says DL tocopherol, your body will never absorb it. And even though you're taking technically vitamin E, you're never going to have enough in your system. So you have to make sure that your supplements, if you supplement with this, is D-alpha without the L in the middle. All right, I'm going to take a quick break, and because I'm running out of time, and this is going to be kind of a longer episode today because it's a lot more to go through. All right, I'll be right back right after this. Okay, vitamin E, alpha tocopherol, acts as an antioxidant, neutralizing unstable molecules that can damage your cells. It protects vitamin A and certain lipids from damage. Diets rich in vitamin E may also help prevent Alzheimer's disease. A wide variety of foods contain vitamin E, including vegetable oils, salad dressings, and margarines made from vegetable oils. Don't even deal with soy and margarine, okay? Wheat germ. Wheat germ is so good. Oh my God, wheat germ is really good for you. I mean, unless you're allergic to wheat, right? Or have celiac disease. But wheat germ is really good on yogurt. I've eaten it in oatmeal. I've put it on top of salads. I used to eat wheat germ all the time. You can actually use it, mix it with almond flour to coat chicken to make it like almost like fried chicken. Not really, don't fry it, but just for like a breading, you know. It works good. Also on eggplant, why not? You know, wheat germ mixed with almond flour. Put that on your eggplant if you're a vegetarian. You fry that up, it'll be good. You know, wheat germ is really good for you. Leafy green vegetables, whole nuts, whole grains and nuts, not whole nuts and grains. Oh my God. You know what? Speaking of nuts, I think that Donald Trump has gone off his rocker and he is both almonds and walnuts. You know what that means? He's two nuts. TWODOO. My bad groaner joke I created earlier when I found out he wants to make a border wall that's actually a moat filled with alligators and snakes and other reptiles that are vicious. He's really, really losing it. Okay, probably doesn't have enough of these vitamins. Are there vitamins in a McDonald's diet? Things that make you go, Vitamin E does not prevent wrinkles, according to Harvard, or slow other aging processes. No, if you have wrinkles, you have to be hydrated from the inside and the outside, and you got to use a lot of coconut oil. And if you have a lot of wrinkles, you need to, once a month, cover your face in, it's, that oil, castor oil. God, it took me a minute. Castor, see, I'm missing one of the ones from memory. Okay. Vitamin B supplement coming right up. Castor oil, cover your face in castor oil once a month, like really thick amount of castor oil. Put a towel on your pillow because it's really nasty to get out. Can't get it out of your sheets very easily. Just use an old towel that's clean, and but that will reduce your old looks by like 10 years overnight. And then you supplement that every single day with cocoa butter and or coconut oil. You could alternate those. And that's why I don't look any older than I did when I was 38 and I'm 50. In fact, most people think I'm in my 20s still. They say, 28, 29. The other day, someone said I look like I'm 21. I thought that was a stretch. He was probably flirting with me. I don't buy that one. But 29, I'll take. Even 35 at this point. But hey. So, folic acid, vitamin B9, folate, folacin. Vital for new cell creation. Helps prevent brain and spine birth defects when you take it early in pregnancy. Should be taken regularly by all women of childbearing age, because sometimes the woman might not even know they're pregnant in the first few weeks. It can lower levels of homocysteine and therefore reduce heart disease risk. May reduce risk for colon cancer. Offsets breast cancer risk among the women who consume alcohol. Folic acid is so good for you. You can find it in fortified grains and cereals, asparagus, okra. Oh, hey, there's a nice southern vegetable for you. It's really only good in Indian food, though. I'm just going to be honest. I'm not a big fan of okra, except in Indian food. And then you can't really taste it, so hey. It's a really pretty vegetable. It's gorgeous, but it's weird. the flavor is weird. Anyway, folic acid is found in asparagus, okra, spinach, turnip greens. Again, those collard greens, baby. Making them up in Hollis, Queens, right? Okay. But broccoli, legumes like black-eyed peas and chickpeas, orange juice, and tomato juice. That's where you're going to find your folic acid. Many people don't get enough folic acid. Occasionally, a folic acid will mask a B12 deficiency, which will lead to severe neurological complications. So that's not a reason to avoid folic acid. Just make sure you get enough B12 also. All right. Last but not least, vitamin K. Now, this is a fun one to say, also known as phylloquinone menadione. That just sounds like the best drug ever. What the flock? I've never heard of that. PHY, phylloquinone menadione. Menadione. I've never heard of that. Vitamin K. We'll just say K. Vitamin K. No one ever hears of this, right? I heard about it years ago. This lady that I met, she's a little off her rocker, but she told me that her daughter is really, really bipolar and will never admit that she's bipolar because she thinks she's fine, but she's really crazy. And this woman was scared to death that she had it, so she went and got tested. And they told her that she did not have it, but the thing that prevents it is vitamin K. So if you are suffering from bipolar, basically that used to be called manic depressive disorder, where you have times where you're super depressed and can't get out of bed and can't stop sleeping. And then you have times where you're super manic and super up and yay, everything's great. And, it's like you either love life or you want to kill yourself. And it goes back and forth, right? But there's more to the bipolar disorder, the personality disorder. It's really, really crazy. Like, people with it are they're really mean. They'll be really nice one day and you draw you in, and they're mean the next day. And it's very similar to narcissism. So for a while I thought my ex had bipolar disorder, and it took me a while to realize he actually just was a narcissist. But bipolar disorder, if you take vitamin K, you're going to be fine. That's it. Boom. So everyone should take this anyway, right? So vitamin K activates proteins and calcium essential to clotting your blood. And it might actually prevent hip fractures. So that's good to know. Where do you find vitamin K? Cabbage, liver, eggs, milk, spinach, broccoli, sprouts, kale, collards, and other green vegetables, again with the collard greens. Now, it says as a note, intestinal bacteria make a form of vitamin K that does account for half of your requirements. Now, remember, if you are having an overgrowth of yeast or you have leaky gut syndrome, you might not be getting enough vitamin K also. So make sure you have a lot of the acidophilus. Go get the full spectrum supplement, not just one of them, just all of them. Yogurt, eat a lot of yogurt, right? Anyway, so, because that will also help this. So if you take an anticoagulant, keep your vitamin K intake consistent. All right, well, there it is. That is our list of vitamins. Now I'm going to try to do a similar thing next week with minerals, because a lot of people have a lot of things wrong and they don't know that it's just a vitamin or mineral deficiency, and it's totally crazy. You don't want it to get out of control and then suddenly you're like, damn, I'm like blind or whatever, you know what I mean? You don't want to have a nervous disorder that leads to worse and worse nervous disorders. And when you have a deficiency in one thing, eventually you get deficiencies in other things. Might as well just eat healthy and be good to yourself And it also help us with the Ascension stuff too, because you really, really, really need to just be as healthy as you possibly can. We are all in the midst of becoming superhumans, okay? And while we're in the midst of this, it's very important to know that, you're healthy. You're doing everything you can to stay alive and healthy and mentally clear for yourself, your spouse, if you're married, your partner, your boyfriend, girlfriend, or your future love, if you're single like me, your twin flame, if you're waiting for your twin. You have to understand that staying healthy affects all the people around you. And if you're unhealthy, that affects the people around you. So make a commitment today to be good to yourself. And if you have to, go back and re-listen to my whole episode and take notes. Or just start, basically just take a full spectrum vitamin C, full spectrum vitamin B, stand in the sun 10 minutes. It's pretty much all you need. It's pretty much all there is. And then vitamin K, Just make sure, though, spinach, kale, collard greens, collard greens are really good. Like, I never thought I'd like them, and I started eating them when I was in Detroit, and now I'm like, oh my God. Like, I found out, this is so weird, I used to take my kids to counseling at the Children's Hospital, because there's like a secondary building there, and I found out when they had collard greens in the cafeteria, and I would take my kids and we would eat there for our dinner. So we'd have like our afternoon appointment, go across the street, eat there for our dinner, and that was like our treat. I know it sounds weird, but Detroit does it right. Even in the hospital food was excellent. Very weird, right? It doesn't make sense, but hey, Detroit's a different kind of place. I love it. Love, love, love the 313. But lots of art, lots of music. Not the killing fields that the media would have you believe. It used to go on a lot more. And this year, only like 3 people have been killed. 1 by a pack of dogs, and then 2 people were killed by like guns. So it used to be like 2 people every hour or something. It was like ridiculous, but it's actually an up and coming city again. And I'm glad that I lived there for a while. I still own my house over there. But the collard greens there, oh my God. I wish I had the recipes of some of the people's food that I ate. Oh my goodness. But anyway, yeah, just try to do the best you can possibly do for yourself. You're going to start sleeping better at night. You're going to have more energy. You're going to look better. If your collagen is being formed by the food you eat, your face is going to look young and beautiful, and your skin's going to have elasticity, and you're going to feel good about yourself. Because I know when I've gone through bouts of illness and I started to look older, it just like dropped all of my self-confidence and self-esteem into the damn ground. I just felt like, dude, like, this is the end of my life and no one's ever gonna love me again, like romantically. Like, I just like be so down to myself, but then I got healthy again and started eating better, and then I started looking good again, and it's like, oh yeah, all right, that's cool. It's all, everything that can go wrong in your body usually is due to diet. So I would say limit your carbs, limit the white bread, or even bread. Just don't eat bread anymore. You can make your own bread out of almond flour, or there's all kinds of amazing ways that you can just look up keto breads. Some of the most amazing recipes ever. But do what's right for you, because especially if you have children, someday you can have grandchildren, and when your grandchildren are 5 and 6 years old, are you going to be in a nursing home, or would your decision to be like taking them on cruises or running around looking for Easter eggs together, or, flying kites together? Like, for me, I hope that I'm super active as a senior. When I have my little grandkids around, I want to go everywhere with them, take them around the world, do everything with them. I don't want to be sitting in a nursing home. I mean, I told my kids, if I ever get so bad as put me in a nursing home, just take me out in the old pasture and shoot me, because that's not the life I want to lead. My mom chose to go into a nursing home with my grandma when my grandma was sick, and she made her doctor sign a note saying that she needed it, and he said he wasn't going to, and she flung herself into a chair and bruised herself and fell down and got bruises all over her body. And she's like, oh, I'm falling a lot. And so he's like, okay, fine. He put her in the nursing home so she could keep an eye on my grandma. And she never left. And she lived there for 10 years. And it's I had told her about nutrition for years and years and years, and she ignored me. And that's how she ended her life. She died in a nursing home. And it was really sad. I mean, she was never there for my kids the way I wished she could have been, and I don't resent her. I'm not angry. It's just, it was her decision, right? Her body, her life, her decision. And it was very sad. I was just and she did eat vegetables, but she cooked the hell out of them. I mean, they were really, really cooked too much. She drank way too much milk, which has a lot of sugar in it. She got diabetes, but she was interested in learning, but then she just couldn't really retain the information. And I would hate for that to happen to any one of you, especially, if you're young still, you develop these habits. Now you are going to be the kick-assiest 80-year-old on your block. If you're in your 20s or 30s right now, by the time you're 90, if you implement all of the information I've given you guys over the last few months, to, from meditating, spiritual stuff, eating right, exercising right, in the right way. If you do everything in the right way, you're going to be healthy, wealthy, and wise. And I think that's kind of rather the goal for everybody, right? To live a really high quality, good life and be good examples for your children, your future grandchildren. Just be a quiet inspiration for everybody around you. If you go around telling people what to do, they're going to resent the hell out of you. But just be a quiet inspiration. Don't tell people what you're doing. Let them come to you and ask, Be that example, that shining example. And when people ask, I have had people ask me, hey, how are you so young? You're so beautiful. Why aren't you married? It's I spent 20 years in long-term relationships. I'm taking a break. I do want to marry again, but right now, no. And they're like, oh, wow, well, how could you only look like you're 29. How could you have done that? It's because I'm 50, actually, 51. People don't believe it when they see me in person. So thank you, God, for that. But I take care of myself. I spend 5 or 10 minutes a day in the sun, not 3 hours. I don't let my face get damaged by the sun, and I don't, I have gone through my bouts where I eat nothing but junk food, and I know you all have too. And, sure, Doritos are good. Snicker bars are good. And oh my God, red licorice. Don't even get me started on the red licorice. I'm actually going to learn it, and I'm going to start making red licorice here. And if I can make it good enough, I already have a shelf at a place called Mike's Meats. He sells others specialty. It's he's a super, super high, hoity-toity, high quality Trader Joe's. It's like what Trader Joe's aspires to is his shop. It's freaking amazing. $8 a pound for bacon though. It's super expensive, but really worth it. High quality everything. So he's like, I got a shelf for your red licorice when you learn how to make it. I'm like, oh, I cannot wait. I have to start with the cherry extract because they don't even have flavorful extracts here. They smell good and you taste them and there's literally no flavor to the extracts. And I'm like, oh my God, I need to go back to the US and get a bunch of extracts. But I know how to make them, and I might tell you guys how someday. But I got to make cherry and strawberry extract and start making my licorice. Hint, it involves vodka. But anyway, I hope that this nutritional advice has been helpful to you, and maybe it has solved a couple of mysteries for you as I've gone through each individual vitamin, what's good for, and the deficiency, and also if you have too much, because sometimes we err in one way or the other, like not enough or maybe too much. And anyway, I hope that this information has cleared up some information for you, and you are able to not only help yourself, but also your friends and family and neighbors and acquaintances as well. It's like we're all here on the planet together. We're all going through the Ascension together, and we're all, it's important, it's imperative that we're really here for each other. So this is a really simple way that you can be there for others. Oh, Mom, I saw you were having this problem. Here's a bottle of, bioflavonoids, the full spectrum vitamin C, or here are your B vitamins, B vitamin complex will give you more energy. You won't shake as much. Like Parkinson's disease, I wonder if it's not a vitamin B deficiency, you know what I mean? It's probably also related to mineral deficiencies. So we're going to go over minerals next week. I just felt this was super, super important. Everyone needs to know this stuff. And if you haven't taken a nutrition class, or, maybe you didn't know, and maybe this was a refresher course for those of you that have. It was a refresher course for me, so I'm glad. Anyway, thank you for being on this Ascension journey for me, and thank you for your kind words and letters that you've sent to me through Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and my email. I really, really appreciate it. My Twitter and my Instagram is @mermaidgirl888. Oh, and by the way, I did just post some really awesome sky photos on Instagram. If you haven't seen them yet, more cloud porn for you. The beautiful, beautiful, amazing clouds that are Ecuador. Please send in your ghost stories for the upcoming Halloween episode, your Santa Claus stories, and I got a weird thing I got to tell you about that. Today I was standing in the sun getting my vitamin D in front of my building when I looked up to the secondary building that looks like this building, but it's kind of up a long skinny road and behind where I live, and it's supposed to be building 1 and building 2 of the same complex. Well, now the second complex used to be called Magnolias. Now it's called St. Nicholas. St. Nick. I've been talking about Santa Claus now for like a month, asking you guys to send in your miraculous Christmas stories or any story about St. Nick, because we will do that on Christmas Eve while we're waiting for him to fly around the world and give us all toys or whatever. But the building up the road was just called San Nicholas in the last month, because it wasn't like that a month ago. Either it's a Mandela effect and I hopped a timeline, or, that's kind of a miracle in and of itself. I could not believe it's called St. Nick. Really cool, right? All right, so send in your St. Nicholas stories, supernatural happenings surrounding Hanukkah, Diwali, or Christmas, or your holiday. Maybe you have a holiday I don't even know about that happens in November, December. I want to hear it. I want to know all about it. And I know the rest of the world does too. So share it with the world. Don't be stingy with your cool stories. Okay, I love each and every one of you. I wanted to say thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing me with your Facebook groups. If you're a member of groups with millions of people, please share my show with them. Let people know, spread the word through your mailing lists and any other method you have. I need to get the word out because I need to make a living supporting myself with my podcast. Anyway, thank you so much. That's all I gotta say about that for tonight. I'll be back tomorrow. We're still reading the book on clairvoyance and the occult. So, by Swami Panchadasi. That is tomorrow night's show. I can't wait to get into that text because, oh my God, it is so interesting. I hope you guys agree. And every week is going to be a completely different topic, but related to clairvoyance and telepathy and how. It's a how-to student instruction manual. It's 100 years old. So if you haven't been listening to those, go ahead and start because you're not going to want to miss these. All right. That's it. That's all I can say about that. Again, I'm signing off with peace and joy and the high vibes of the Holy Fifth Dimension. Until next time, guys, peace. Metaphysical Soul Speak is run on sponsors and listener support. This means listeners like you. If you are so inclined to support my efforts and my little podcast, please visit me at anchor.fm/metaphysical and pledge an amount of your choosing today. Thank you.